17th century. When European ships landed on the shores of the New World, they brought diseases, guns, and ambition. But something else followed them that nobody noticed. Tiny seeds, clinging to boot soles, trapped in clothing folds, mixed into wagon wheel mud. Everywhere Europeans set up camp, this plant grew, along their trails, around their forts, on lands native peoples had just been driven from, as if marking territory. The Native Americans saw this pattern. They gave it a name, white man's footprint. And what they did next will change how you see your own backyard forever. Here is the strange thing. They did not hate it. They did not burn it. They observed. They experimented. And they discovered something remarkable. A plant their invaders had forgotten how to use. That plant, carrying traces of an entire invasion, is still growing. Right in your backyard. Right now. And you are paying money to destroy it every week. This is the plant Shakespeare put in Romeo and Juliet. The plant civilizations across centuries called sacred, and the plant you have been paying to destroy. In the next 13 minutes, I will show you exactly how to identify this plant in 30 seconds or less. I will show you 3 methods used across centuries, from medieval monks to colonial-era healers. I will break down the science that modern research has confirmed, including one clinical study that surprised the medical community. And I will share the laziest gardening secret you will ever learn. Because you do not need to plant anything at all. It is already there. By the end of this video, you will look at your lawn completely differently. What you have been calling a weed, what you have been paying to poison, is actually one of the most versatile medicinal plants on Earth. The knowledge to use it has been hiding in plain sight for over 1,000 years. Let me take you back to where it all began. Here is something important to understand first. Plantain did not originate in America. It is native to Europe and Asia. It had been growing there for thousands of years before any European ship crossed the Atlantic, and the people of the Old World knew exactly what it was worth. Around the 10th century, medieval England. In candlelit monastery rooms, monks were compiling a secret medical text called the Lacnunga. It listed 9 sacred herbs with power to fight what they called flying venom in the wind. The plant named second, right after mugwort, was waybroad. They addressed it with a solemn title, Mother of Herbs, open from the east, mighty within. Waybroad is broadleaf plantain. The Lacnunga was not poetry. It was a medical manual, and plantain held a place of honor among the 9 most powerful plants they knew. But the story does not end in monastery walls. 600 years later, year 1595, London, England. A playwright named William Shakespeare was finishing Romeo and Juliet. In Act 1, Scene 2, he wrote a line most modern readers skip. Your plantain leaf is excellent for that. For your broken shin. That was not literary metaphor. That was not clever wordplay. That was common medical knowledge. Something everyone in 16th century England still knew. When Shakespeare needed a reference his audience would instantly understand, he reached for plantain. That tells you everything about how well known this plant once was. And when English settlers boarded ships for the New World, plantain came with them, hidden in boot soles, trapped in cargo, mixed into soil. The Native Americans watched it spread. They called it white man's footprint because it followed the invaders everywhere. But here is what makes their story remarkable. Instead of cursing this foreign plant, they studied it. They tested it. And within generations, they had mastered its uses. Some historians believe they learned faster than the Europeans who brought it. They turned the invaders' footprint into their own medicine. From medieval monks in candlelit monasteries, to Shakespeare's London stage, to Native American medicine keepers. This single plant connected them all across 1,000 years, and you, living in the 21st century with an entire medical library in your phone, are paying money to pull out the exact plant that 3 civilizations revered. This knowledge was never lost. It was forgotten by a society too busy to look down at its own feet. Now let us talk about the science behind it all. Why did chewed leaves help wounds recover faster? The answer lies in a compound you already pay for monthly: Allantoin. Read the ingredients on your anti-aging serum or scar treatment cream. You will see this name: Allantoin. Retail price: $40 to $80 for a small bottle. It occurs naturally in plantain leaves, free, growing right outside your door. How does Allantoin work? Simple. When skin is wounded, your body needs new cells to fill the gap. Allantoin stimulates fibroblast cells. Think of them as the construction workers of your skin. It tells them to work faster. More fibroblasts means more collagen. More collagen may support faster recovery. A study published in Natural Product Research, year 2015. Researchers found that plantain leaf extract stimulated wound healing in laboratory models. The effects were significant. But Allantoin does not work alone. Plantain contains Aucubin, a compound that inhibits the COX-2 enzyme. Sound familiar? That is the same mechanism as ibuprofen. When you are swollen or inflamed, COX-2 is the culprit. Aucubin helps suppress it. Here is what that means in plain English. Your $40 cream and this free leaf in your yard are doing the same job. One costs money, one costs nothing. But the science gets even more interesting. In 2022, researchers at a burn hospital in Shiraz, Iran, conducted a clinical trial. They compared plantain extract against silver sulfadiazine. That is standard hospital burn cream. The result: plantain showed comparable effectiveness in supporting recovery of second-degree burns. The study was published in the International Journal of Clinical Practice. Look at the nutrition. Plantain leaves contain significant amounts of vitamin C, higher than spinach by weight. Calcium comparable to spinach. Add vitamin A, vitamin K, zinc, and potassium. The seeds are rich in protein, carbohydrates, and omega-3 fatty acids. Medieval monks did not have laboratories. Shakespeare did not have microscopes. But they knew this plant was valuable through centuries of observation. Modern science is simply confirming what they already knew. This is the most important part. How do you identify broadleaf plantain in the wild? Good news. This is one of the easiest plants to identify, and I will tell you why in a moment. First, do not look up. Look down. Plantain grows close to the ground, only 2 to 12 inches tall. No main stem. Leaves grow in a rosette pattern, spreading from a central point like flower petals opening. Now examine the leaves. Broad oval shape, like a flattened egg. 2 to 7 inches long, the unmistakable feature. 5 to 7 veins running parallel from stem to tip, clear as notebook lines. Here is the fastest identification trick. Break a leaf stem. You will see stringy fibers pull out, exactly like snapping a celery stalk. If you see those fibers, you found the right plant. Most people walk past this plant every single day without knowing. After today, you will never unsee it. Flowers bloom May through September. A straight stalk rises from the center, 12 to 16 inches tall, topped with a cylindrical spike covered in tiny white-yellow blossoms. Not flashy, but a perfect identification marker. Roots are shallow and fibrous, white to ivory, not a tuber. You do not need to dig deep. Harvesting leaves is enough. Now the safety section. Here is why plantain is perfect for beginners. There are no toxic lookalikes. None. Zero. This is rare in foraging. Most edible plants have at least one dangerous cousin. Plantain does not. Similar-looking plants like Rugel's plantain with purple stems, narrow-leaf plantain with lance-shaped leaves, or hosta with thicker leaves, all edible with similar uses, however. Avoid harvesting near busy roads, herbicide-treated lawns, industrial areas, or where pets frequent. The plant is safe. The environment might not be. Safe plant. Safe place. That is the rule. Now for the part you have been waiting for. At the beginning, I said Native Americans discovered something the Europeans had forgotten. They turned the invaders' footprint into their own medicine. Here is how they did it, and how you can do the same today. Method 1. Nature's bandage. Simple enough to do immediately if bitten by insects or scraped outdoors. Step 1. Pick fresh leaves. Wash if possible. Step 2. Chew in your mouth for 30 seconds until paste forms. Saliva activates the compounds. Step 3. Apply directly to the wound, bite, or irritated skin. Hold 30 minutes to 1 hour. Replace as needed. Allantoin stimulates regeneration. Aucubin supports inflammation reduction. Mucilage creates a protective moisture barrier. Method 2. Plantain tea. The traditional method for respiratory support. European herbalists have used plantain tea for centuries. Germany's Commission E, which evaluates herbal medicines, has documented this traditional use. Harvest young leaves in morning after dew dries. When active compounds peak. Dry in shaded, ventilated areas. Steep 1 to 2 teaspoons dried leaves in boiling water. Cover. Let sit 10 minutes. Strain and drink. Slightly bitter taste. Add honey if preferred. Traditional use is 2 to 3 times daily. Method 3. Infused oil and salve. How to preserve plantain year-round. Harvest leaves and wilt 24 hours to reduce moisture. Crucial to prevent mold. Place in glass jar. Cover completely with olive or coconut oil. Seal and store in cool, dark place 4 to 6 weeks. Shake occasionally. Strain out leaves. Want to make salve? Heat oil in double boiler with beeswax. 4 parts oil to 1 part wax. Pour into containers and cool. You have created what herbalists call soothing balm. Used for dry skin, scrapes, insect bites. Keeps for years. Principle to remember. Fresh leaves for emergencies. Dried leaves for tea. Infused oil for winter. There is a saying among experienced foragers. Do not ask how to grow plantain. Ask how to stop it. Here is the laziest secret in this entire video. You do not need to grow anything. Plantain is already there. In your yard, in sidewalk cracks, in empty lots. Everywhere soil is compacted. Where other plants die. Where nobody cares. Plantain thrives. It does not need watering, does not need fertilizer, does not need shade. It handles everything alone. Here is something remarkable about this plant. USDA Zones 3 through 12. That covers almost everywhere in the continental United States, from the frozen winters of Minnesota to the humid summers of Florida. Plantain does not care where you live. Optimal germination happens around 77 degrees Fahrenheit, but it tolerates anywhere from 50 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. It survives drought. It survives flooding. It survives being stepped on every single day. This is why it grows on every continent except Antarctica. Northern gardeners, southern gardeners, coastal, desert, mountain. It does not matter. If you have soil and occasional sunlight, you already have the conditions for plantain. The only real question is not whether it can grow in your zone. The question is whether it is already growing there. And the answer is almost certainly yes. But if you want to actively cultivate, here is how. Step 1. Collect seeds from dried flower stalks at summer's end. Step 2. Scatter seeds on soil. Do not bury them. Seeds need light to germinate. Step 3. Water lightly once. Done. No step 4. A single plantain produces 14,000 to 20,000 seeds yearly. Those seeds can remain dormant in soil and still be viable after 60 years. You are not planting plantain once. You are planting it for your lifetime and your grandchildren's. But hear this warning. Plantain is classified as invasive in many regions. 20,000 seeds per year. Surviving 60 years. That is no joke. Without control, it spreads across lawns, invades vegetable beds, appears everywhere unwanted. That is why gardeners hate it. That is why they spend money killing it monthly. The solution? Simple. Option 1. Cut flower stalks before seeds mature. Around midsummer. No seeds, no invasion. Option 2. Grow in containers or designated areas for complete control. Option 3. My choice. Change your perspective. Stop calling it a weed. Call it a free medicine garden that takes care of itself. You do not need to control plantain. You need to harvest it before it takes over your entire yard. 1,000 years ago, when medieval monks wrote the Lacnunga, they called plantain mother of herbs. Not because it was strongest, not because it was rarest, but because it was always there, under everyone's feet, on every path, ready to help anyone who knew how to look down. Native Americans called it white man's footprint, the invader's mark, but instead of hatred, they turned it into an ally. That is the greatest lesson today. Now you know how to identify it. Rosette at ground level, 5 to 7 parallel veins, the celery test that never fails. You know how to use it. From emergency poultice to dried tea to 4-season salve. You know why it works. Allantoin regenerates. Aucubin reduces inflammation. Mucilage protects. And you know the laziest secret. You do not need to plant anything. It is already there. Medieval monks knew it. Shakespeare wrote it. Native Americans mastered it. And now you cannot unsee it. Every lawn, every sidewalk crack, every neglected corner. You will see plantain everywhere, because now you know what it really is. But the journey is not over. Broadleaf plantain has a cousin. Looks completely different, but comes from the same family. Leaves not oval but narrow and lance-shaped. European medicine uses it more than broadleaf. Germans call it Spitzwegerich, their go-to herb for cold season. Its English name. Narrowleaf plantain, also known as ribwort. Next video I will compare these two relatives. Which is more powerful? Which is easier to use? Which truly belongs in your family medicine cabinet? Follow ancient grow methods so you do not miss it. Drop your USDA zone in the comments. I want to see where this video reaches, from Zone 3 to Zone 12. Plantain is waiting. The mother of herbs has been under your feet this whole time. The only question is, will you keep paying to kill it? Or will you finally use it?